Have you ever felt that pang in your chest when the woman you want looks at another man with that sparkle in her eyes that she never had with you? You're about to discover something that challenges everything you thought you knew about female desire. An ancient dance between bodies and minds where the majority follow rules that never worked, while a few know the secret movements that transform attraction into obsession. I'm not talking about cheap tricks or cruel deceptions, but about something much deeper and more disturbing. The realization that everything you were taught about winning a woman's heart was a lie carefully constructed to keep you in emotional mediocrity. If this already made you think for a second, leave a like now, because what I'm about to reveal to you can change your life forever. This knowledge is so powerful that only about 3% of men know and apply it. Are you ready to be part of that elite? Let's go together on this journey into the shadows. You know that devastating feeling of being eternally transparent to the women you're truly interested in. Like you're a benevolent ghost, doomed to watch from the shadows while others live the life you want. That frustration that eats away at you when you end up being the kind friend she seeks out to vent about the idiot she's with, while you feign understanding when inside you are torn with helplessness. All that ends today. Let's be direct and ruthlessly honest with yourself. You've already tried everything, right? You already bought that expensive cologne thinking the scent would give you confidence. You've already tried to impress with expensive gifts, believing that money buys affection. You were already that super attentive guy who answers messages immediately because you thought constant availability was synonymous with genuine interest. And where did all that take you? Straight to the friend zone, to that emotional limbo where good intentions become romantic invisibility. The brutal truth is that you were programmed to fail from the beginning. Society, romantic movies, even your own mother, they all taught you the wrong way. They told you to be gentle, polite, respectful. And don't get me wrong, those are important qualities to be a good human being. But alone, isolated from other more primitive and powerful elements, they don't create that unstoppable attraction that makes a woman unable to get you off her mind. Do you know what does create it? The tension, the mystery, a little bit of calculated danger that activates your deepest instincts. Think with me for a moment. Why does that guy who isn't even that handsome manage to conquer them all? Because he has that unwavering confidence that makes women gravitate around him like planets around the sun. Because he understands something fundamental that you have not yet understood. Seduction does not occur in logic. It does not develop in the realm of rational conversations and convincing arguments. It happens in instinct, in your subconscious, in those primitive layers of the brain where decisions are made before the conscious mind even realizes it. Do you think women consciously choose who they fall in love with? Of course not. It is your primitive brain that decides. That ancestral part that comes from cave times when survival depended on choosing the right partner. And that brain doesn't care about flowers or expensive dinners. He is not moved by romantic gestures taken from movies. It is concerned with signals of value, social dominance, and protective capacity. Now, before you think I'm telling you to become a caveman, don't worry. This isn't about being rude or disrespectful. It is about understanding the ancestral dance between bodies and minds that occurs in seduction. I spent over 10 years studying this, testing it on the battlefield of human interactions, watching what works and what falls apart miserably. And what I discovered goes against everything preached by the relationship experts who are out there selling sweet but ineffective advice. Do you want to know the secret that no one tells you? Women don't want a man who is always available, who is there every time they snap their fingers. They want a man who has options. A man who doesn't need them to feel complete. Paradoxical, isn't it? The less you need it, the more it will want you. It is a contradiction that defies all romantic logic, but it is a psychological truth as solid as the laws of physics. In the depths of the female soul lurks an unspeakable truth, a primordial hunger that no modernity has been able to domesticate. That dancing shadow between desire and rejection, that abyss between what your lips pronounce and what your body craves. Do you feel it? That tremor that runs through the spine when you understand that love is older than your words to name it, wilder than your attempts to contain it. There is a monster that every woman has written in her DNA. A monster that not even she understands. A monster that makes her despise the man who adores her and long for the one who ignores her. Do you know why women say they want a sensitive man but end up with the one who makes them cry? It's not masochism, it's pure biology. For millions of years, the women who survived were those who chose the warrior, not the poet. To the hunter, not to the philosopher. The man who could kill for her, not the one who died for her. And that program keeps running every damn day. But how do you demonstrate this without becoming an insensitive jerk? How do you create that aura of selfless interest without coming across as disingenuous or calculating? That is exactly what the system I am about to reveal to you is going to teach you. There are 4 fundamental pillars that will transform you from an ordinary guy into a magnet of attraction. Pay attention, because what is coming is pure gold, distilled from years of observation and practice. Seduction doesn't begin with a simple polite hello that vanishes into thin air without a trace. It begins with a break, a fracture in what was expected, a spark in the silence that awakens something dormant in her. Forget everything they told you about traditional presentations. Forget that robotic "how are you?" that dies the moment it is uttered, and that immediately classifies it as just another interaction in the bunch. The first move is not about being nice or harmless. It's about taking control of the emotional rhythm from the first second. Establishing that you are not just one of the herd of predictable men who approach her with the same tired lines and the same approaches she has heard 1,000 times. Imagine approaching her, but instead of being predictable like everyone else, you say something like, "You have the face of someone who hates small talk, but secretly loves chaos." At that moment, something changes in his expression. He pauses, blinks, his brain firing up like an engine that's just been given high-octane fuel. Why is this happening? Because you've interrupted his automatic pattern, that mental filter that's programmed to automatically screen out generic men who approach him. At that moment, you are no longer one of them. You've made me curious, and curiosity is the gateway drug to desire. This is what most men never understand. The first sentence is the foundation of the entire game that comes after. It's like the opening move in chess, sets the tempo of the entire game, defines the emotional battlefield. If you open weakly with something common and predictable, you've already gone on the defensive. You'll spend the rest of the interaction chasing her, trying to make up lost ground. But if you open strong with something unexpected, poetic, or slightly absurd, you gain the frame advantage. Now she's in your world, playing by your rules. This is movement. It's not about what exactly you say. It's about how sharply you cut through the everyday noise. It's about projecting a clear psychological signal. I'm not here to desperately impress you. I'm here to see if you're worth the game. And this is not just verbal, it is energetic. It's your tone, your timing, the deliberate calm in your way of speaking, that slight smile as if you already know how this is all going to end. Men who approach you with high frequency and predictable phrases are discarded by your subconscious in seconds. But a man who walks with a sense of controlled unpredictability, he becomes a question she wants answered. Never forget this. Women are attracted to what they don't immediately understand. So be the enigma, be the breakup, be the man who speaks not to impress with pretty words, but to provoke something inside her that she had forgotten she could feel. Look in the mirror. You see that good man, that polite gentleman who opens doors for her and tells her that she is beautiful every morning. That man is invisible to her. Worse than invisible, it is predictable. And predictable in the secret language of female desire is synonymous with death. Do you believe that love is communication, understanding, tenderness? She says she believes it too. Lie. Her body doesn't lie when it responds to the man who challenges her, who confronts her, who doesn't need her. Have you noticed how her eyes light up when she talks about the ex who treated her badly? How does his voice change when he mentions the arrogant boss that everyone hates? That glow is not trauma. It is desire in its purest form. The monster that every woman desires is not violent. It is not abusive. It is something much more subtle and powerful. It is unpredictable. He is the man who cannot be tamed, categorized, or controlled. And you are an open book. She knows exactly what you will say, how you will react. You are safe. You are stable. You are everything she says she wants, and for that same reason, you are everything her biology rejects. When your first move makes her stop and think, the game is yours. You have created that first spark that can become a fire if you know how to fan the embers. And that, my friend, is just the gateway to a world of possibilities that common men don't even know exists. This is where the entire foundation of attraction begins to harden into something unbreakable, something untouchable, something extraordinarily rare in the modern world. Confidence is not what you say, it is what you don't need to say. You see, she senses everything before you open your mouth. Read your essence. Notice how you sit, how long you maintain eye contact, whether your presence fills the room or begs for space. True trust is silent. He walks unannounced, speaks slowly, moves with certainty, and, above all, does not fear loss. That's the attitude you need to embody. I don't need you, but I'm not afraid of you either. This is the pose that turns the entire power dynamic on its head, and once you learn it, she begins to qualify herself to you instead of you having to prove yourself to her. Let me make it visual so you understand it completely. Think about the last time you walked into a car showroom. The salesman who harassed you, who stuck to you like a shadow, who kept asking you, "Do you like it? Do you want to try it? What do you think?" He radiated a desperation that you could smell, and you instantly had the upper hand because his neediness diminished his value in your eyes. Now imagine another salesperson. He greets you calmly, shows you the car elegantly, then leaves quietly. He knows what he is offering. He knows that you will feel it if it is right for you. Suddenly you feel the need to prove that you are worthy of the treatment. You start asking questions. You begin to justify your interest. It's exactly the same in seduction. When you demonstrate that your life is complete, rich in purpose, full of joy, anchored in strength, with or without it, you become the prize, not the desperate hunter, not the emotional beggar begging for attention. And women don't chase men they feel sorry for. They chase men they respect. Men who represent something they want to achieve or experience. How do you radiate this attitude through your body? Because words lie, but energy never lies. Shoulders relaxed but strong. Upright posture that speaks of dignity. Unwavering eye contact that makes no apologies for existing. Slow and steady breathing. Precise and intentional movements as if you owned time itself. No trembling hands, no nervously jumping legs, no rapid anxious speech. You speak as if you trust your silence, because studies show that more than 90% of communication is nonverbal. She not only hears you, she feels you in every fiber of her being. And if your energy says, "Please love me," it will move away, even if your words say something completely different. But if your presence says, "You're welcome to join me, but I don't bend for approval," he leans toward you because detachment is intoxicating, it's addictive, it's what most men never manage to convey. This is the paradox that changes everything. The less you seek validation, the more your value in their eyes multiplies. So remember, don't chase his attention. Chase your own inner power, because when a man becomes magnetic from within, everything outside begins to orbit around him as if it were the gravitational center of his own universe. Schopenhauer knew it. Love is the trick of the species to stay alive, but it fell short. Love is not just deception, it is war. And in this war, civilized man always loses. Do you know what a woman is really looking for when she says she wants emotional connection? He wants to feel, not think, feel. And the most powerful feelings do not come from security, they come from uncertainty, from risk, from controlled danger. The monster she desires is the man who makes her doubt. Do you love me? Don't you love me? Will you call again? Is he with someone else? That emotional roller coaster is more addictive than any drug. And you, with your unconditional love and absolute availability, are forced rehabilitation. You're methadone when she wants heroin. Napoleon conquered Europe, but he could not conquer Josephine. Because he needed her more than she needed him. He wrote desperate letters from the battlefield while she slept with others in Paris. The emperor of the world reduced to an emotional beggar. Sound familiar? Of course, yes, because you have also begged. You've begged for crumbs of attention while she held feasts for those who never asked for anything. The monster does not beg. The monster is hungry, but not for her. He hungers for conquest, for purpose, for power. And that hunger, the one she can't satisfy, is exactly what drives her crazy. Women are not masochists. They are unconscious evolutionary strategists. Their biology programs them to look for the man whose attention is valuable because it is scarce. If your attention is free, unlimited, unconditional, then it is worthless. It is basic economics applied to desire. Man is a wolf to man, said Hobbes. He was wrong. The man is a lamb to the woman when he forgets that he was born a wolf. This is the most counterintuitive of all, the seductive art of stepping back right at the peak of connection. Not because you don't care, but because you understand one of the most powerful truths about female desire. Nostalgia creates obsession. Emptiness generates desperate longing. You know that perfect moment when conversation flows effortlessly, when smiles come naturally, when she is completely present with you, absorbed in your presence, hanging on every word that comes out of your mouth. That's not the time to move on and squeeze every last drop out of that connection. That's the time to leave, to disappear, just when everything feels most alive and promising. Yes, exactly. At the highest point, just when it feels most electric and full of possibilities. You simply say, I would love to stay longer, but I have to go. Let's continue this another time. What happens next is not logical. It is completely chemical and primitive. Your brain releases dopamine in a considerable amount and then you disappear. You just became the episode that ends in suspense, the song that cuts off at the best part, the book that closes just when the plot gets interesting. Think about the last addictive series you watched. It didn't explain everything. It didn't resolve all the plots. It left you hungry for more. That is what you must become. Not the 3-hour movie that drags on until everyone loses interest, but the tense, tension-filled episode that leaves you breathless and counting the days until the next season. This means that you don't respond when she texts you. You don't answer every call as if you were waiting by the phone. You live your life. You move through your world like a man on a mission. A man who has choices, purpose, gravity of his own. Because when she notices your absence, her emotional radar activates in a way she can't control. Where you are, who you're with, why you haven't responded. And in that moment, he's not just thinking about you, he's feeling you. Now you are in his mind looping, playing your voice, rereading your last text as if it were a secret code he needs to decipher. This is the crucial shift when she begins to pursue, not out of strategy, but out of tension. Unresolved emotion, a hunger for resolution. That's what most men never understand. They stay too long, respond too quickly, eliminate all tension, and in doing so kill desire in its cradle. But you will learn to walk away with elegance. To leave her with a taste, not with the entire meal. To create silences that resonate louder than words. Because that is the most beautiful and cruel paradox. The less she has of you, the more she will need you. This is not blind arrogance. This is not calculated manipulation. This is pure psychology applied with mastery. And the man who dominates her does not pursue like a desperate predator. Attract by letting go, pull by letting go, conquer by withdrawing at the perfect moment. Do you remember when you were a child and you wanted that toy that you couldn't have? How you wanted it with every fiber of your being? And do you remember what happened when you finally got it? In 2 weeks it was forgotten in a corner. You are that available, predictable, forgettable toy. The monster is the toy behind the glass, always visible, never completely reachable. Desire thrives on unpredictability. Desire, like any human impulse, intensifies when the reward is not constant or guaranteed. If you are always available, if you are always the one who initiates intimacy, if you are always willing to please, your reward loses value. Most men make the mistake of becoming constant pleasure dispensers, not realizing that excessive availability kills craving. Machiavelli, master of using reward to maintain loyalty, or, in this case, desire, would say, men love at their convenience, but fear your discretion. In this context, fear is your fear of not knowing when or if that reward, your desire, will return. Your mistake. You become an inexhaustible source of sexual attention, a faucet that she can turn on at will. The Machiavellian solution. Manage your reward selectively. This does not mean deny him sex or affection. It means that access to your intimacy, your desire, your sexual energy is not a right. It is earned and must be maintained. Create moments of intensity. Then he steps back with subtle distance. Let me miss you. Let him look forward to the next meeting. Don't always be the one who initiates. Let her chase you. Let him feel like he has to earn your attention, that he has to remind you why he turns you on. When desire is not guaranteed, when there is enough uncertainty about when and how the spark will return, she invests more in you. His mind becomes obsessed with gaining your attention, with regaining your desire. The scarcity of reward activates her dopamine system, creating a cycle of craving and satisfaction that keeps her constantly wanting more from you. You become the only man who gives her that dopamine rush that never settles into monotony. Have you seen how she behaves with the man who doesn't respond to her messages immediately? How do you check your phone obsessively? How is every message from him worth 100 of yours? It's not that he's better than you. It's that he understands, consciously or unconsciously, that female desire operates in tension, not satisfaction. You eliminate all tension, you respond in seconds, you are always available. You are an open tap of attention and affection, and then you wonder why he would rather die of thirst than drown in your ocean. Take the initiative and escalate the interaction when necessary, without hesitation that paralyzes you. This is the moment of truth where most men fail miserably, where all the previous pillars come crashing down if you don't have the courage to act. You created attraction, you built emotional tension, you played the game of detachment. Now you need to act decisively. And this is where fear appears in all its ugliness. The fear of rejection, the fear of ruining everything you've built, the fear of being seen as invasive or inappropriate. But let me tell you a secret that will transform your perspective forever. Women want you to take the initiative. They fantasize about a man who knows what he wants and isn't afraid to go for it without apologizing for his masculinity. Almost no one realizes this, but hesitation kills more opportunities than rejection itself. When you feel the moment is right, act without asking permission, without asking if you can. You read their signs and move forward with the confidence of someone who understands the silent language of desire. It could be holding her hand while walking. It could be pulling her close during a conversation. It could be that kiss at the perfect moment when silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. Calculated audacity is what separates men from boys who play at being men. It's what makes her mention you to her friends the next day. It's what creates powerful memories that you can't forget, even if you want to. Now I know what you must be thinking, and let's clear it up once and for all. This is not manipulation in the toxic sense of the word. It is not being a heartless jerk. Manipulation is when you lie, cheat, or do something against their will. What I am teaching you is exactly the opposite. It's about being authentic in your masculinity, understanding what truly creates attraction and acting on that understanding. Think with me. When a woman puts on makeup, chooses a beautiful outfit, wears a special perfume, is she being manipulative? Of course not. You are presenting yourself in the best way possible. She is using tools to make herself more attractive. That's exactly what you are doing, using psychological tools to awaken genuine attraction. It is not about deceiving anyone or creating a false personality. It's about being the best version of yourself, the most authentic and powerful. And let me tell you something that few men know. Women want to be seduced. They dream about it. They read books about it. They watch movies about it. But they want to be seduced by a real man, not by some insecure guy who apologizes for existing, not by a man who is afraid of his own shadow. They want to feel that chill in their stomach, that tension in the air, that game of glances that says more than 1,000 empty conversations. And when you master the secret code that I am revealing to you, you become that man. You become the guy they can't get out of their heads, the mystery that keeps them awake thinking. Remember that chess metaphor I mentioned at the beginning? Every interaction with a woman is a game. And while most men play defensively in fear of losing the queen, you will be 3 moves ahead. You will know when to advance, when to retreat, when to sacrifice a piece to win the entire game. And most importantly, you will play to win, not to avoid losing. There is a huge difference between these two mentalities. Playing not to lose is what keeps you in the zone of friends. It's what makes you afraid to take risks. It's what leaves you paralyzed in inaction. Playing to win is taking calculated risks. It is understanding that some defeats are part of the learning process. It's knowing that each no brings you closer to a definitive yes. Nietzsche shouted, "God is dead," but forgot to add, "and with him died the last man that women could respect." The modern monster is not the alpha male in the gym who confuses muscles with masculinity. That's just another lamb in disguise. The real monster is more subtle, more lethal. He is the man who can destroy and chooses to build, who can hurt and chooses to heal, but she knows he could destroy. That latent power is what excites her. Why do you think women fantasize about vampires, gangsters, dangerous domesticated men? It is not the violence that attracts them. It is the contained power. The beast that chooses to be a prince but could become a beast again if the situation required it. You don't have a beast. You killed her years ago at the altar of the modern sensitive man. You sacrificed it to be accepted, loved, validated. And with her, your deepest attraction died. There is an exact moment when you lost, a moment you can track if you are honest. The moment you stopped being his lover and became his emotional child was when you started asking for permission instead of informing him of decisions. When you started asking, "Is this okay?" instead of saying, "I'm going to." When your happiness began to depend on his mood. Women don't want emotional children. They already have enough with biologicals. They want a potential father from a man, not another child to take care of. The monster never asks permission to be himself. Inform, include, consider, but never beg for approval. Your life is yours. She is welcome to share it, not control it. Now let's talk about something crucial that most overlook: magnetic touch. This has nothing to do with uncontrolled lust. It is not about manipulating or forcing situations. This is ancestral ritual, primitive language that transcends words. Touch is the oldest language of humanity, older than words, deeper than logic. Bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the subconscious where real decisions are made. But here's the secret that changes everything. She's not attracted to touch itself. She is attracted to the way it happens, to its perfect timing, to its rhythm, to its clear intention. The right touch at the right time can bind a memory to your body in a way that will last forever. But the wrong touch, the rushed one, the forced one, kills everything instantly. How does it start then? Not with blind audacity, but with calculated innocence. A light touch on his shoulder as you laugh at something he said. A hand gently guiding her through a door. A slow, playful clap that stays half a second longer than normal. Moments that feel natural, but leave an indelible mark. Scales not through pressure, but through presence. You play, and then you withdraw. And that withdrawal is everything. It creates absence, and absence creates craving. This is what most men never understand. Touch is not about the contact. It's about what happens in the moment after. Because when you touch and stop, his body feels the silence and begins to miss you before you're gone. This is the intermittent touch, the psychological equivalent of a heartbeat. On, off, close, far, safe, dangerous. It builds tension you can't name. It floods your system with oxytocin and dopamine, the same chemicals that are released during pleasure and connection. But you're not connecting. You're etching yourself into his nervous system like a mark he can never erase. And here is the beautiful paradox. The more natural it seems, the more powerful it becomes. You must not telegraph intention, you must not hesitate. You play like a man who has done it 1,000 times, not because you are desperate, but because you are focused on yourself. Your hand does not ask permission. Read his reaction. If he leans towards you, you know it. If he retires, you adapt. Because the masculine touch is not invasive, it is observant. Listen with your skin, and when used correctly, it makes her feel something terribly rare in the modern world. A man who is in control of himself and in tune with her at the same time. That's magnetic. That's what keeps her awake at night. Because long after the words are forgotten, she will remember how you made her feel. Not in his mind, in his body. There's one last weapon you need to master. One that most men don't even think about. Cold reading. It's not magic, it's precision. The silent art of reading what she wants before she even knows it. Because every woman leaves subtle signs, not in her words, but in her patterns. The way she dresses, she sees craziness of your voice, the pace of your walk, what you post online, where you go, what you avoid. You're no longer just a man. You're an emotional detective reading between the lines, tracking the energy behind the words, feeling the cues he doesn't say out loud. A woman wearing flashy, sparkly jewelry is screaming for attention. He wants the spotlight and confirmation that he's still got it. A woman in subtle and elegant tones is deeper, more private. She longs to be understood, not just seen superficially. Observe the way he speaks. If she speaks quickly, gestures widely, is spontaneous, reactive, guided by pure feeling. If she speaks slowly, carefully, she is calculated, guarded, strategic in every movement. And when you adjust your energy to match his hidden nature, when you reflect what he really needs without him asking you, you become irresistible, because you are not offering what he is consciously demanding. You are offering what you are secretly dying to receive. That is real power, the understanding that every human being hungers for something they cannot even articulate. But here is the trap that most men fall into. They try to do everything instantly. They gorge themselves on techniques. They force results. They imitate. They act out a script that is not theirs. But this is not acting, it is the embodiment of your true masculine nature. So slow down, start with just one pillar. Apply it for a week until it becomes real, until it becomes part of you. Then another and another, until the system is not something you memorize, but something you are. Because this dirty method I'm giving you isn't about turning you into someone else. It's about releasing the real you. The alpha that society buried under years of shame, guilt, and conditioning. That made you believe your masculinity was something to apologize for. Wake up once and for all. Time is slipping away as you sit there ruminating, overanalyzing every possibility. Other men are already using this and getting results while you keep watching, keep doubting, keep wondering if this really works. Do you want to know why the monster works? Because it doesn't try to work. It is not a strategy, it is a consequence. Consequence of what? To be a man who respects himself more than any woman, who values his time, his energy, his attention, like the limited resources they are. You give all that away as if it were infinite, as if your life would last 1,000 years, as if your energy would magically regenerate, as if your dignity didn't matter. The monster is stingy with what matters and generous with what is superficial. You are exactly the opposite. You give your soul for a smile and haggle for pennies at dinner. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." What have you done repeatedly? Beg, plead, need, give in, pretend. What does the monster do repeatedly? Conquer, build, destroy what is no longer useful. Move forward. You don't need a manual. You don't need a course. You don't need permission. You need to remember who you were before you forget who you are. You need to stop chasing women and start chasing the best version of yourself. You need to understand that the monster they desire is not something you put on as a disguise. It is something you release from within. It has always been there, watching, hungry. The question is not whether you can become him. The question is whether you have the balls to let it out. Silence speaks when words are silent. Do you feel it? That emptiness that remains when the illusion fades, when you understand that he never loved you as you believed, that everything was a mirage built on your own needs. That emptiness is your first step towards freedom. That emptiness is the door through which the monster that you have always been will emerge. Ask yourself, 5 years from now, do you want to be in the exact same place with the same silent frustrations? Seeing the woman you wanted in the arms of a man who just knew how to move? Or do you want to be the man who can't forget? The man who never begs? The man who chooses instead of being chosen? Knowledge without action is dead. You can consume 100 videos, read 100 books, but if you don't enter the ring, you will be stuck theoretically powerless forever. Most men who hear this won't do anything. But you're not most men. If you want to be part of the elite that truly dominates the game, comment, "I am the monster that always wanted to be free." This is the password that separates those who only talk from those who act. And remember, whoever does not decide to free themselves right now is condemned to beg for love forever.